Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Kipo and the Age of Wonder Beasts, Season 3, Episodes 9 and 10. It's time. We are finishing off the series today, and yeah, I'm not ready. Amelia is fighting back with mutes of her own by using DNA to create their own mega mute. And it's wild how deluded she is. She's so against mutes, but is willing to, even if only in her mind temporarily, turn either her or one of the followers that are still on her side to a mega mute just to be able to take Kipo and Hamufa on. It's absolutely deluded. And the funny thing is, we've seen this kind of thing in many pieces of media, or even in real life sometimes, where you have this extremist who is so against something that for some reason they think it's actually okay if they start to use the thing they're against to fight the thing that they're against. They actually, in real life, it's done obviously in much different ways. But here, much more literally. Dr. Amelia is literally willing to do this, to go this far, just because she hates mutes this much. And it's fucking stupid. But these kinds of things usually are. With these last two episodes, we're going to definitely be facing this. All the others have definitely started to turn around. They've begun to change their minds and realize that everyone can work together. But then Amelia is just on the opposite end. She refuses to see reason. So I guess we'll see how this goes eventually. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of this for Amelia and for our heroes. I'm thinking that it can't end well for Amelia. Unless somehow she does get redeemed, which I honestly at this point just don't see happening. I think that they're going to have to stop her. And by stop her, I mean kill her. I unfortunately think that that's the only way to stop her, and unfortunately she's too dangerous to just be left alone. I don't think she's redeemable. I think it's already past that point where we could believe that. And I'm just unsure of how this is all going to go down to end off the series. Because we also have Scarlemagne, who headed off to try and take down Amelia ahead of time. So there's that issue too, and Wolf kind of ran after him after having a fight with Kipo, and it's just like, where do you go from here? It's not going to be good. I can tell you that. I don't know if we're going to get any more quote unquote casualties this season. Any more cured mutes and everything. It seems like it might be past that point, but I don't know for sure. We'll have to see. But either way, this finale is going to be big. And you know what the saddest part of all of this is? That I didn't even ever, since I first heard of this series, I didn't even really have to worry about being spoiled. Pretty much no one talks about Kipo. When people are talking about modern cartoons that are just doing really great jobs and everything, you never hear Kipo brought up. There was a short period of time where it was brought up because of Benson coming out as gay and actively saying the words, "I'm gay." That got a little bit of attention for a very short time. But otherwise, it's just, I don't see anything about people talking about this series on social media. I never had to worry about finding anything out because I never saw anything in the first place. And that's what's truly sad here, because this series is fantastic. It tells a strong, concise story with great humor, great action, great creativity, great representation, characters, story, depth, everything. There is so much to this series that it really knocks out of the park. And possibly because it's on Netflix, it doesn't get the attention it deserves. A lot of these Netflix cartoons they just never get that big. They never get enough attention. They never get enough recognition. Stuff like this and Glitch Techs and even She-Ra. Like, She-Ra was probably the biggest of this, but that's only because of all of the headlines it was constantly making in regards to the changes that were made to the characters' designs from the original 80s version. And of course, the queer representation. Those two things got in the headlines quite a bit. And that's the only reason She-Ra got as much attention as it did. But even that kind of fizzled out after a while. Like that after a short time didn't really stay in the public light anymore. And you compare it to shows like The Owl House. And The Owl House is getting all kinds of attention. It has been in its entire run because it's on television. It's more widely available for people to see. And it just in general, because it's not a streaming series, people just give it the time of day more. Like, the only streaming service that really gets constant attention is Disney Plus, and usually for like the Marvel shows or certain movies that come out or whatnot. And other services have their few hits here and there that get like wide attention, like obviously Stranger Things for Netflix and whatnot. But it's like a lot of these shows only get so much focus, only get so many people talking about them. They may have a little bit of a rise to public eye, but they eventually fade out of just the consciousness of everyone. No one talks about them. And this is definitely one of those series, and it's sad. coming to the end of this, it's like I realize how good this series is and how much I wish it had gotten the attention it deserves. Because it's great. For all those reasons I mentioned and more, it just really knocks it out of the park. And I wish more people knew about it. And I'll definitely, as much as I can, talk about it. But obviously I don't have that far of a reach. So we'll see. We'll see how this finale goes. Not just to the season, but to the series. And we'll see how this ends off. I'm very excited. And hopefully it's a super satisfying conclusion. So we're going to get this going and hope for the best. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. I'm trying to hold it together. I am failing, but I'm trying. I had a single issue with this finale. I think Amelia's backstory should have happened sooner, and it should have been given more time. I felt it felt kind of rushed and very sudden here in how it was handled. But that's my only issue here. In fact, there's certain things that I notably appreciate that they did. And one of the biggest ones is Amelia not being redeemed. They could have easily gone the route with Amelia after the Megamute incident and after actually completely losing control and almost not being able to be brought back and everything. They could have gone with the route that she accepts it, and even if it takes a lot of getting used to, she does end up working with it. They could have easily taken that route. It would have been safe to do. But instead, Amelia grabs a shard of broken glass, proving that she can't be redeemed. That sometimes in a world filled with prejudice and hate, you can't stop everyone. You can't turn everyone around. And it's a very sad truth. But it is truth. I'm all about giving people second, even third chances and all. And that I truly believe that everyone deserves the opportunity to change. And if they show that they are willing to make that change, if they are actively willing to become better, they should be given that opportunity. No matter who they are or what they've done in the past. I truly believe that if someone is genuinely wanting to better themselves, they need to be given that opportunity. But there also has to be a point where you have to call it. You can't just give them opportunities over and over and over again when they've proven that they're not going to work with them. Kipo gave Amelia all of the opportunities in the world. She gave her so many chances to turn things around. She tried to reason with her, to not, like, just further the circle of hate. She tried to handle things peacefully. And that was the right thing to do. Even though it felt very much like a dream, a naive dream, she was right to give her those chances. But in the end, Amelia was just too far gone. And so they had to punish her. And luckily, Mondu just ends up knocking her into Fun Gus. Yeah, because it's a play on fungus, yeah. knocks her into Fun Gus, and so she's basically trapped there now for eternity. And after Fun Gus has already lost potential friends before, definitely not letting her go no matter what. So this is a very fitting, just perfect way to take her out. It doesn't kill her. It never takes it that far. But it is a permanent solution to her evils. And we see that her ideals were forced upon her by an overbearing father who, I mean, very blatantly was abusive. Like, it didn't, like, really go too deep into that, because, again, there just wasn't as much time as there should have been dedicated to the backstory. But I think it was very clear he was abusive to her and her brother. And it caused her to become so obsessed with not only just making him proud in a way, but it caused her to become obsessed with his goal. His desire to see the mutes, well, reverted or ended even. And to see humans back on top. She became lost in those thoughts of supremacy, and there is no coming back at that point. Honestly, the moment she killed her brother was the moment that she was lost. It's like when it showed that, it's like instantly I knew that there was no chance of redemption, and that if they even tried to redeem her at that point, it wouldn't feel natural, because that was very much symbolic of this no going back mentality. It was symbolic of there's no saving her. She's too far gone already. And I'm glad that came to pass. Again, I really appreciate that this show did not just redeem everyone. That there was someone that couldn't be redeemed. Because unfortunately, that's very much the case in real life. And also, unfortunately, it's not just one person in real life. It's not even just like 1% of people. There are a lot out there who are undoubtedly doing evil things, saying evil things, and manipulating others into believing them as well. And there's unfortunately quite a bit of those people. And it's not going to be easy to just turn them around and have them see the truth. And some of them can't be saved. Not everyone can, unfortunately. And then there's Hugo. Would it be weird at all to say that Hugo's part in this was my favorite part. Not just of the finale, but the series. Going from being, at the time, the main villain, and ending up being not only one of the people who saves everyone, but a beloved brother and son who gives his life for his family. And to not only have that happen, but to make it extremely believable, to have this growth and development slowly happen throughout the seasons. It was so expertly written. And honestly, I think it's probably one of my favorite redemption arcs of all time. That could be a fun list to make. I love a good redemption arc. I really love a good redemption arc. As I said, I believe that everyone should be given the chance to change if they truly show the desire to. So a redemption arc, especially when it's super genuine and well written, can be extremely satisfying to me. I mean, think Zuko from Avatar: The Last Airbender. His redemption arc is absolutely phenomenal. And everybody agrees with that. People see Zuko as the gold standard for redemption arcs. And this is why it's so sad that this series just did not get the attention it deserved. Because while Zuko probably is still better in terms of redemption arcs, this is up there. It was so well handled, so expertly written. And it makes you care about the character and cry when he sacrifices himself to save his family. And his death was an actual death. There weren't a lot of those in this series. Like, he didn't just get reverted and cured. He died. There was a point there where, when Greta still had the cure, that I was actually starting to think, oh God, Scarlemagne's going to be cured, isn't he? But no. Instead, we had Hugo give his life to save his sister and his parents. And he died with them by his side, crying over him and showering him with the love that he always wanted. It's beautiful. It's so emotional and beautifully written that you can't help but fucking cry and get super emotional even after it's already over. And they even erected a statue in his honor. That Kipo still talks to. Five years later. It may be surprising that I didn't use the 5 years later. Well, I did, but didn't use like Kipo or whatnot 5 years later for the thumbnail. But like I said, Hugo's role in this series is my favorite. More than Kipo, more than Wolf, more than Benson, more than Dave, more than anything else that happened. Because it was, in my opinion, the best written part of the series. And the part I just got invested in the most. So I had to have Hugo there. on my thumbnail. Because I'm not going to get another chance. The final fight between Amelia's Mega Mute and Kipo and all them, it wasn't super epic and grand in scale, and I think that was important. It never felt like it was trying to be this grand, epic, really well animated, cool fight scene. The entire time you're watching, you're like, at least I was thinking, this feels sad. Like, the way it was directed, the way it was set up with each shot and everything, just the way they were fighting, the little visual cues and everything, it all just made me think, this isn't cool, this isn't epic, this isn't this grand fight at the end of the series. This is sad. It's indicative of how far hate can take you. And it's not great in that regard. But yeah, it's a problem. And that's what this series addresses more than anything. Prejudice. Hate. And you can take it in any kind of direction. From racism, to homophobia and transphobia, to classism, and everything else in between. The message here is very clear. That no one wins with hate. That only love saves the day. So, in that regard, I think it did a great job at getting that message across. And I really love this series. Like, this show just impresses me on so many levels. And I don't think I would necessarily say this is quite on the level of other shows out there like She-Ra or Owl House or anything like that. But without question, without even a bit of hesitation, I can say that it's amazing. It's something truly special. It has great representation. It has wonderful messages and themes. And even some harsh ones. It has amazing characters, a well-written story. And it has heart above all else. It feels like the creators of the show really wanted to not just send a message, but to move people. Felt like the creators and the writers wanted to actively move people into seeing that we are stronger and better together than we are ever separate. That love is what we need. It's going to be a series that I very much remember fondly for forever. And although it's over, and it ended very satisfyingly, even with the the one main issue I had with this finale being Amelia's backstory being rushed and too late. I feel like this series truly deserves to be known about. And I wish that it were. I wish that this series had gotten as much attention as She-Ra. Or even Owl House. Because if it had, like, it would have made a lot of fans. Many more than we unfortunately have. It was an amazing ride. But it's over. And we move on. So now we discuss what is taking over this slot. As much as I really wish I didn't have to here, I have to. This is a donation reward. I want to very much put focus on that again here. That my reactions to Kipo, even though I probably would have watched this anyway, were a donation reward from Lindsay Moore. Thank you, Lindsay, for streamlining and fast-tracking my time to react to this. Because I wouldn't have gotten to it as quick as I did if it weren't for you, and I probably wouldn't have even had started season 3 yet if I hadn't gotten to it when I did. So that means, obviously, that it is going to be replaced with a donation reward series. Now, here's where things get interesting. Because I've started to get to this point where I'm more okay again with getting back to shows that tackle more serious, heavy subjects. But, as you may know, we're going to be starting to add extra shows to the schedule soon. Temporarily, mind you. They're not going to, it's not going to remain this way. But both Tuesday and Thursday starting soon. Actually, let me see here. Starting this week. Sorry. Yeah, I forget that I record things ahead of time sometimes. You're seeing this on the 8th. So technically yesterday we started this. But so as you can see, Tuesdays and Thursdays now have 2 shows each. And this is only temporary because there's just so many shows that are coming out all around the same time. We have The Boys, Season 3. We have Obi-Wan. We have Miss Marvel. And the thing is, I actively have wanted to react to all of them. And I didn't want to wait. So the only real fix for that is to add them to the rotation. The issue here is that the problem here is that with 2 extra shows on the schedule, basically, that creates a lot of extra recording time, especially when these shows are like double length at their just normal length. Their normal length is double length because they're just longer episodes and all. So the question kind of comes down to, what do I do? Because it's basically, do I get back to something like Doom Patrol now and just put another series on my list at the moment that has like a 45-minute runtime or so. Just rounding it to kind of make it a little more average, I guess. Or do I do something that I know is going to have a shorter runtime that won't just cause my schedule to be overloaded with stuff that have longer runtimes? Because that's the biggest issue with how the schedule is going to be right now. The runtime is killing it. The runtime of these shows that are just coming out that I want to react to. That's the issue. So I think we're going to hold off on continuing Doom Patrol for now. Not because I'm not ready to come back to it, I am, but because I don't have the time to focus on another show that's that long. I just don't at the moment. So instead, we're going to go to something with a shorter runtime that I can digest easier and get to reacting to, recording my reactions to a lot easier and a lot quicker without having to worry about it taking up like all of my time. And that is Inside Job. Inside Job is a donation reward for Matthew Vasquez, and I'll talk more about it in the pre-thoughts on the first episode, but the very little I know about this series, it's an adult animation, and it has something to do with the government. Like, it parodies something about the government. That's pretty much all I know. Oh, I've seen images and stuff of at least one of the characters before. I assume the main character, this woman. I've seen images of her before. But that's pretty much it. Of course, adult animation does kind of worry me because, as you guys may know, I don't like a lot of adult animations. I don't like the adult animations that are too crass for the sake of being crass and just end up being super immature with their humor because of it. Like, I don't consider that a mature series at all. I just feel like that's a waste of everyone's time to call that an adult series and to have it be that immature. And I really hate it when a series like that kind of tries to pass itself off as being like something really smart or that only certain people will understand or stuff like that. That irritates me because that is so pompous to just kind of try to pass yourself off that way. I don't know what this series is going to be like. But Matthew's been on the channel, been a viewer long enough to where I hope that he knows this. And I hope that means that this series is good. I'm going to give it a chance, like I give everything, and I'm going to go into it hoping that it wows me. I want it to wow me, to surprise me. I want it to be something, I guess, more like Close Enough, that is genuinely funny and entertaining and takes adult humor in a clever, creative, and interesting direction rather than just be stupidly crass about it all the time. That actually does unique things with the concept of an adult cartoon. That would be more of my hopes, but we'll see. We'll see. Obviously, no spoilers. Do not tell me anything. I think when I looked it up, the series has 10 episodes, but I might be wrong about that. But yeah, so that is what will be replacing Kipo for now. And again, I loved this series. And I'm glad that it's one of those shows that had a definitive ending and felt like that. I don't know if it was planned to only be 3 seasons, but it feels like it was. It feels like that it was always going to be shorter like this, like Gravity Falls was. And that everything kind of just worked out in that regard. So, hopefully, we get more stuff like this in the future. And hopefully it becomes more mainstream to get stuff like this. And stuff like Owl House. And like a lot of these other shows, like She-Ra. Hopefully we get more stuff like this just going forward. Not just on streaming, but on television. We need to get these shows to a place where they will be viewed by everyone. And they will get large fan bases that they deserve. So, yeah. That is the plan for now. And we'll see how it goes. If we need to change things up, we will. If we need to adjust, we will. But we'll tackle that when we get to that. In the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning in. And another thank you to Lindsay for donating for this. I love this series. It's the only series with Hugo Oak. And that alone is something special. So for now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.